CFR Network, CFR News. As we rapidly approach the end of the Gregorian year 2022, we strangely, for some, have in the news something that may shock some people, and to others, this is of no surprise. Ngozi Fulani, the domestic abuse charity founder, subjected to racism at Buckingham Palace. The 61-year-old who indeed founded the charity Sistah Space, the only domestic abuse charity in the UK that caters specifically for women and young girls of African and Caribbean heritage, was invited to Buckingham Palace. Hmm? Hmm. I mean, you would think, I mean, any institution, any organization, people are getting invited for a purpose. You're gonna know who these people are. But strangely enough, and we will hear because she's done an interview with LBC. There was a 10-minute very uncomfortable exchange where a lady in waiting, quote unquote, I guess would be her title. I have no idea. Prince William's godmother at the palace reception. Strange, she took it upon herself to quiz this elder for 10 minutes about where are you really from, Ngozi? Hmm? You can't be from England. You have an interesting name and you have brown skin. So where on earth are you indeed from? Now, before I go further, let us indeed check out the interview.
Yeah.
Yes, and I said, we deal with African and Caribbean heritage people. She wanted to know which part of Africa I'm from, and I said, born here, but African heritage. And then it just went into this whole thing, which became uglier by the second. And I was standing with two other women, also of African and Caribbean heritage, and we were so stunned, we didn't know what to do.
Did she ask you about anything else, or was it only this?
Stupid ass advertisements. I forgot to go onto the premium accounts. This. Yeah, I would be stunned as well. My response may be quite different. I don't think I'd allow that type of scenario to take place for 15 minutes or 10 minutes.
She took my locks and moved it because first thing she did was take because I've got locks. She took my locks and moved it because she said she wants to see my name badge, which I...
Now, that is the height of disrespect. The height of disrespect. What gives anybody the right, especially a stranger, to touch? That's invading your personal private space, your private zone, your personal space, and then to physically touch you as well. I mean, Who does that? Where's the that those shrieks of entitlement of like I can do whatever I want. I can touch your hair. Like the fascination some folk have with people and but black people's hair, if it's in an afro, for instance, you know, locks or dreadlocks as they are known, quite popular as um without permission. That don't seem right at all.
Which was an offence in itself. I mean,
So
I've never gone
physically
up to
touched you
someone.
and moved your hair out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, I've got what you would call dreadlocks, so I've got long locks, and she literally took a bunch of them and moved them out of the way. Now, that is a no-no in our culture. It's a no-no in every
I
community.
think to
I
just
don't
physically
think
touch
just,
someone the second you meet them isn't great, is it?
yeah,
Other than a
yeah.
handshake. So.
But the fact is, she made a beeline for me. Now, that in itself was curious because there's a lot of people there, and we were kind of standing on the
Question. Was Ngozi the only original person there with dreadlocks? Maybe. Because as you say, she did a beeline for you and you haven't spelt it out, but I would assume that indeed you were the only person with your own hair, which was locked.
periphery. And so she came over, and we thought, of course, this is an event where people engage with each other. So of course we're welcoming anybody who speaks to us. But it was very clear, very quickly, that it was almost like justify yourself being here. Where are you from? And when you explain that actually I was born here, I'm British, and someone says, no, where are you really from? And you say, oh, born here. No, what's your nationality? Lady, my nationality is British. And then you feel really uncomfortable because this is being done in front of others. And it's a situation that I've never really encountered. And
So the Lady Susan Hussey, one of the late Queen's longest serving ladies in waiting, who promptly said that she would resign after this was brought to the media. But here's a big question mark. This is for people who are potentially stirring, the ones who are not stirring, the 85, the lemmings, the new terminology, the non-player characters. Ask yourself this question. Why on earth is this in the news? Hmm? Is this just like an isolated incident and someone just messed up? Is it so-called coincidence? We know that the media promotes certain topics and raises certain agendas for certain reasons. Mm-hmm. Now, one could be saying, no, but what on earth? I've just flicked onto this. What on earth are you talking about? This isn't gonna who would benefit from this? And that is the whole question. Who benefits from this conversation? Because it's not original folk. I mean, trustfully, somebody's actually gonna start to cognitively think and critically think about this situation and about this whole mess that we're in. And outside of the thinking, actually do something.
was blindsided because it was an invitation from Buckingham Palace, and you would think
Well,
that the
you were a
staff are
guest.
trained.
You were a
Yeah.
guest.
Yeah.
So you should have been treated in the respectful
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
I hear it in the sigh, Ngozi. You described in the tweet that you were stunned into silence, you and the other women that were with you. What happened? Did it just sort of fizzle out and she walked away, or did you say?
No, it continued for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I had to.
Gosh.
Yeah, and that was the thing.
The Bayesian sister and the other Sistah who was with her should have never allowed that to take place for that amount of time. They should have respectfully said, we're not going over and over and over the same topic. Excuse me, whoever your name is, but no matter how many different ways you ask me the same question, I'm going to tell you the same thing. My parents are from Barbados, which is in the West Indies slash Caribbean. Yes, the Lesser Antilles, I believe, to be more precise. And I came here and I'm a British citizen. I've got a passport that says I am black or British. Who are you? Like what gives you the entitlements, the gumption to quiz me in such a manner? I find this level of questioning and type of questioning highly offensive. And for you to put your hands on me as well, if we was out on the street, I may not be that polite to you. You don't just go up to people and I mean, like I would have moved away, but you know,
It's really long.
Oh my gosh! So the account that I've been reading from from Sister Space's
Mm.
Twitter feed reads about a minute and a half, a minute
No,
long, a minute and a half.
I
Gosh,
couldn't
10
put the
minutes.
whole thing up there because
No,
Twitter doesn't allow you that much conversation. But also, it was difficult to gauge the time because it could have been 5 minutes, it could have been 6, 7, I don't know. When
but
it's
it was
happening
long
to you, it's so slow and so painful
because it's
that you
excruciating.
just want it to end. And my thing is, what do I do? Where do I go? Who do I tell? And so you just have to stay there and just take it, basically, until she finally heard that my parents came over from the Caribbean in the 50s. She says, oh, so you're Caribbean. That's what I was getting at. So I thought, oh, wow. And what she needed to do was to satisfy herself that I don't qualify as British. And I just thought, wow.
I don't think it was necessarily that. In her eyes, potentially in other people's eyes, if you are not of European quote unquote stock, and have high levels of melanin in your skin, then you're not of British stock. It's just, it goes without saying whether you're third generation, whether you're fifth generation, whether you're 10th, 15th generation Black or British, and there's plenty of people who can trace their lineage back that long. It doesn't matter to certain people. I mean, why would that have been a topic of conversation for this meeting? This just you were there invited to mingle and to be in Buckingham Palace and stuff, with the king, etc. The King's Palace now. Um, Confusing to say the least, but at the same time, not confusing.
And it
And so
hadn't, you said it hadn't happened to you before because I'm getting calls from people to whom it's happened multiple times.
well, I mean, the thing is, you can't grow up as a black person in the UK and not have encountered some level of racism. I'm afraid that's the fact. But it's usually kind of either an out and out idiot, right, racist idiot who makes a comment and moves on, or something like that. But you don't expect to be, okay, so Buckingham Palace puts out an invitation for 16 days of activism against violence, against women. And so you don't expect, because even though it wasn't physical violence, well, it kind of was because she touched my hair, but that kind of
UPS ads, man.
you don't expect at an event.
Listen, I don't know how people watch YouTube without a premium account, and it's crazy me even saying that because I remember back in 2015, maybe even 16 at the latest, when I'm sure that was around the time premium first came into effect, and I was like, who on earth is gonna pay for them YouTube Premium? Because all you do is just skip the ads, but the ads have become a lot more pervasive now. It's the wonders of living in this new world.
Like this. So I feel violated. I am still processing this whole thing because I'm just as stunned as everybody else. I don't know what to do with it.
And I think as well, you know, the context of, because of your charity work, because of your activism and your professional life, that's why you were there.
Absolutely.
And that's what you should have been asked about.
Well, this is it, yeah. So when she first inquired, that's what I thought she was asking about. Where are you from? Sistah Space. You know, what do you do? Because that's the questions that you're supposed to be asked. Or you're there to kind of mingle. And then, you know, she told, what I didn't want to do is reveal her. I know her name, but I don't want to have her targeted, because I still feel that this is about violence against women. Right? So I don't want her to, even though she was really wrong, I don't think the solution is to put her out there. Yeah. And how am I any better than her, really?
No, I know. And I'm deliberately not naming her in our conversation, because I know you don't want it to be just about her, because you actually, and again, tell me how you feel about the palace saying, they've asked if you wish to come and talk it through in person.
Nobody from the palace has spoken.
How about that? The Post has said, obviously to the media, that they've offered for Ngozi to talk again with the lady in question and Miss Hussey, and have a conversation about it, and maybe even educate her. What business? What is Ngozi gonna be paid for her time? Hmm? Is going to be some kind of recompense for the activity to take place? Because surely she's not in this Hussey lady isn't working or under a voluntary basis. I am sure not. She's getting paid. So her employer, yes, should indeed take the necessary steps to do the training required. So she doesn't ask such stupid questions. And was this the first case that this person was insensitive with questioning? I would say not.
To me, I don't know what anyone's talking about. I have not been in direct communication, unless they've spoken to somebody from Sistah Space, like a member of staff. I personally have had no conversation with anybody from the palace. I don't know about an invitation.
Well, let me read this out so people know. This is from the palace statement. We have reached out to Ngozi Fulani on this matter and are inviting her to discuss all elements of her experience in person if she wishes.
Right. I mean, like I said, I'm about positive solution. This is 16 days of activism.
And I'm going to politely decline that offer.
And I am not going to contradict what we're about at Sistah Space. So, of course, I'd be happy to have a conversation with anybody to bring about a positive solution, and also to highlight.
So you will take them up on that offer once it filters through to you directly, wherever they say they've put it. It hasn't come to you yet. Absolutely.
Look, Sistah Space is about positive solution and about the elimination of violence against women and girls. So part of my conversation is, to be honest, I wish that the lady could be spoken to and know the damage that she can cause, and probably not be front-facing. But for her to resign and all that kind of stuff, that has nothing to do with me. And to be honest, I don't feel good about that, because I think apparently she's been there for years. She's an elder, and in my culture,
we respect
our elders. And so this does not please me, and I would be satisfied if she was either removed to another position, but to leave under those circumstances in these 16 days kind of defeats the whole object to me.
Would you I don't know whether she is offering this, but from what the palace statement has said, that's not clear. But would you happily have a conversation with her about it?
What?
I don't think it's my role, to be honest. I bear no malice, but I don't think it's my role. She's not employed by...
Tell them. What the hell? Would you be happy to actually sit down with this being and have the conversation?
by me. I think the palace needs to ensure that the staff, when I came in and everybody else, of course you get searched because you want to make sure there's no danger to the staff. But what about the danger to us who attended? That's what needs to happen. So conversations need to be held with the relevant people so that this kind of thing does not happen again.
And I know you've said, and I understand why you said, you weren't seeking anyone to lose their job, or it's an honorary role anyway that she has. So it's not that, it's not like she's losing a livelihood or anything like that.
Honorary role, not losing any livelihood. So she just, I don't get, I'm retired now. Or, because the longest serving lady in waiting, a lady in waiting, like, correct me if I'm wrong, like, they're paid, aren't they? So, what, so what? I don't get it. So let's use the statement that's just made by this presenter. So the honorary role, it's just an honorary role. So she's not losing a livelihood, and she's been the longest serving lady in waiting for the Queen, God rest her soul. She started when she was only 17 years of age, along with the Queen. And, she just volunteered all of her time for Queen and country. This isn't the turn of the century. She was paid. Now, the honorary role thing, maybe she's at an age where they're like, you know what, you don't need to do as much as you did before, etc., etc. So, we're going to reduce your hours and blah, blah, blah. And in accordance to that, we're just going to pay you like 50,000, a year or something. But this is theory. I don't think she's volunteering the whole of her time for free. I don't think that's a possibility.
I've no doubt it will have been upsetting for her, that every bit as much as it's upsetting to you. I'm not prioritising her over you. But
I don't think it would be as upsetting because at the end of the day,
yeah.
Nobody did anything to her. She kind of did it to herself.
Yeah.
But I get the sentiment.
But do you?
Stupid assets. Yeah, here we go. This is. Remember how we started? We're winding down, and listen to how the questions are going now, and the statements are kind of going. Yeah, almost done with this folly funding circle. I have no idea. Fast affordable. Folly.
Do you think that the speed with which the palace has acted is a positive?
Again, I have no knowledge because
not your job to manage them, I suppose.
Yeah, I didn't know. I left the house. I posted a tweet, left the house, didn't look at no media. I have no clue what's happening out there because I just needed to think and to try and find a space to put this. So I have no idea of what's happening with the palace, but
Now that right there, listen to the speech pattern, the sigh, her collecting herself, trying to choose the right words. Why are the people put through this? Why are we put through this kind of stuff in the Gregorian year 2022? Huh? She's not like in Speaker's Corner, trying, looking for debates and, pushing forth ideas and the theologies and stuff, doctrines and, this makes no sense. Why should she need to sit and contemplate this, come off social media and this and that and what? Why shouldn't she just be able to accept the invitation, go to Buckingham Palace, meet some people, and contribute?
My first reaction would be, to commend that they move so swiftly because it's very important that they take this seriously. But like I said, it's an internal issue
for them.
Yeah.
And can I ask you? You've said a couple of times about, since it happened, and I understand why. You've had to absorb it and withdraw a little bit emotionally and lick your wounds a bit. And I get that. You're clearly bruised by it.
Yeah.
To those people who've texted and called today, and not all of them are white people who've done this, and said she was just showing an interest in your background. She was just asking you.
Yeah. Love it. I mean, and you definitely have to like balance the story, play as they would say, play devil's advocate. So that's awkward. But think about that question, 5 to 10 minutes potentially, which would have, as you said, it felt like an eternity. It was going so slow. The interest, usually, let's take my interest in cultures and stuff. When I meet someone from a different culture, I'm fascinated. I'm always fascinated. Like, where are you from? Okay, that's the country. Where in the country are you from? Or, oh, you're not from there. Well, where's your parents from? I can hear the accents and stuff. Like, what's your lineage? What's your heritage, kind of thing. Okay, oh, they come from there. Like, what village is it? Like a village, or they come from and what language? You see, it's a conversation, isn't it? Because you're interested and you want to learn it's a conversation rather than an interrogation or a quizzing. So the conversation leads down many different avenues. Oh, what's your actual culture like there? What's the food? What languages do you speak? What other countries are you close to? Or, what's the politics? There's many different things. What's the climate? Have you got beaches? Are you landlocked, etc., etc.?
Yeah. What tell them how it feels and tell them why you think it's not that.
My response to them is I take due regard to how I treat people. I treat people as human beings. And to ask somebody a question, to inquire, there's no problem with that. But that wasn't a question, that was an interrogation. And the whole idea behind it is for me to denounce the fact that I'm British. And that is not acceptable. People will always find an excuse to accommodate bad behavior. And if we're going to bring positive change, then we have to recognize when things are unacceptable. And that behavior, because you represent the palace or royal family or whatever, you can't make those kind of mistakes because it causes damage and it also reflects on the people that you say you represent. So for those, you're always going to find those people who, oh, you're making a big deal out of it, or she was just doing that or the other. I'm sorry, but if you cause that level of damage, then we need to address that. And if that's okay for people to speak to them like that, then, that's on them. But we have standards which we should not go beneath. I never disrespect people if I can help it. If I cause an offence, it will be by accident, and
you want to put it right.
And I would want to put it right.
Yeah. You've made it really clear. As I feel like I'm hearing two Ngozi Fulanis here: the activist, the eloquent activist, but also you've hinted at the distress it's caused you. Can you just Ngozi, the woman, the person? Can you just put that into words?
Yeah, sure. I'm a mother and a grandmother. Yeah, I'm an auntie. I'm an everything, right? So, I value elders, I value society, I value people, and I want to kind of create the kind of world that I would like to live in and my children and my grandchildren to live in. And that means...
And shouldn't we all be trying to do something like that rather than, and I'm not preaching or even singing with the choir, but shouldn't we all be trying to do that? Trying to affect some kind of change, make our lives better and different if need be. And by doing that, also trying to make someone else's life better and different if need be. This selfish kind of mentality that some people are kind of sucked into it's really not a good thing, man.
Means due regard. Treating people with respect. When you see racism, it's an ugly name and people don't like it, but it is what it is. And until we can face it, we're not going to have a positive solution. So we need to look at what the issues are and deal with them. And racism is a very big issue, and we can tackle it together, but we must tackle it.
But according to some folk and some folk in the alternative media, they don't think that there's an issue with racism. Especially in England, I'm talking specifically in the UK, they think, there's no racism. You know, you can get married now and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And they'll even potentially, I mean, I will try and listen to some of these alternative guys and to see what their take is on this that I'm covering, because I have a sneaking suspicion that they will say this is all blown up out of proportion, which to a point it is, because as the magicians do, they highlight certain things in the news to keep the attention on that rather than the mind wandering and asking, why on earth are we in this situation? Why have we just come out of 2 odd years of a zombie apocalypse and economic turmoil, and now we're in like almost in hyperinflation with the highest amount of flipping everything, utilities, everything's going up. Everything is going up. The price has risen like the sun. Petrol, diesel, fuel, food, mortgages. I mean, they've come down a little bit now in regards to the rates, but yeah, no, hint to the wise, should be more than sufficient. If you enjoy the content, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share. Go over to the old social medias to get those numbers back up. Thank you for taking the time.